Before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Earth's plants evolved some 700 million years ago. That's well before the first animals appeared on the scene, about 550 million years ago. Over such a long and rich history, plants have had to adapt. They have dealt with extinction events, ice ages, continents breaking up, and environmental changes caused by humans. The rare plants on this list are pieces of living history. They have unique life cycles, gorgeous flowers prized by collectors around the world, and strange adaptations to attract pollinators, or prey. Read on to find out more about these extraordinary plants and learn which is the rarest of them all. Rare plants may be scarce because the total population of the species may have just a few individuals, or be restricted to a narrow geographic range, or both. Some rare plants occur sparsely over a broad area. Other rare plants have many individuals, but these are crowded into a tiny area, in some cases, a single county or canyon. A third kind of rare plants are those with both few individuals and a narrow geographic range. These are the very rarest plants. NatureServe, a non-profit conservation organization that provides the scientific information and tools needed to help guide effective conservation action, has developed a consistent method for evaluating relative imperilment of species, with an emphasis on rare species. NatureServe's global conservation status ranks are based on a 1 to 5 scale, ranging from critically imperiled, G1/T1, to demonstrably secure, G5/T5. Gardening is considered as one of the most relaxing activities in the world. From making you stress-free to promote a healthy environment, gardening has its own sets of benefits. While a person continuously involved in gardening and other related activities form a close relationship with all the plants and know most of them. But do you know certain plants in the world fall under the rarest categories and are not readily available in the world? 10 rare plants in the world. Rothschild's slipper orchid. One of the most expensive flowers in the world is something you have to wait for 15 long years to get one. This flower costs about $5,000 per blossom and is undoubtedly the rarest you'll find on this planet Earth. This rare, endangered orchid is found in the high mountains of Borneo, and there is no history found on who discovered this plant. This finicky orchid only grows at certain elevations. This is truly a weird one, a plant that spends its entire life living underground. But that's exactly what the western underground orchid does in its home habitat of Western Australia, where it was discovered back in 1928. What makes this plant especially odd is that since it has no access to sunlight, it gets its energy and nutrients from fungus, and from the broom honey myrtle. The western underground orchid does flower, although unless dug up, the flowers stay underground with the root system. Only about 50 of these bizarre plants are known to exist across 6 populations in Australia. If you haven't noticed, we can get pretty excited about rare plants. But we also hope that many of these plants won't stay rare forever, and that due to conservation efforts, they will once again have vibrant, plentiful populations. Protecting our world's fragile ecosystems has never been more important, and we hope this list helps prove that. Did you know there are roughly 391,000 known species of plants in the world? Not only that, thousands of new species are discovered almost every year. As people who love all things green and growing, we think that's pretty cool. Some of the plants that fascinate us the most are the ones that are exceptionally hard to find. Many of them require precise environmental factors to grow, and can only thrive in specific parts of the world. In fact, a few plants have a natural habitat that ranges just a few miles, or even less. So what does plant mean to us? Trees, shrubs, vines, and wildflowers are plants. So are ferns, mosses, and horsetails. Contrary to popular belief, fungi and lichens are not plants. However, we will include them in our plant tally because Forest Service botanists are usually responsible for day-to-day conservation of these organisms on national forest lands, and because most people think of lichens and fungi as more closely related to plants than to animals. Some parts of the United States are hotspots for plant diversity and plant rarity. Most often, the largest numbers of rare plants are in places where there is both great plant diversity, meaning more species per unit of area, and large human populations. Look at the maps below and you will see the pattern. The map of hotspots is from the book Precious Heritage, The Status of Biodiversity in the United States, Stein B.A., Kuttner L.S., and Adams J.'s, editors. 2000. New York, Oxford University Press. 416p. Using these definitions of rare and plant, there are 8,840 rare plants in the United States of America, or approximately 1/3 of the total native flora of the United States. Rare plants are distributed unevenly across the landscape, resulting in a few spots of unusually high overall floristic diversity and higher than usual numbers of rare plants. Middle Mist Red. The prettiest flower is no doubt rarest one in the world today. It has only 2 specimens left in the world, one in the Botanical Gardens in London and the other in New Zealand. 200 years ago this was one of the most blooming flowers, but due to excessive growth of this flower, it has now become extinct in the world. Dragon's Blood Tree. This dragon blood tree resembles the shape of a mushroom when looked at it from below. If you want to see this rare tree, you'll have to travel to Yemen, rent a boat, and visit the island of Socotra. The sap of this tree is red as blood, and this tree is found on only one island off the coast of Yemen in the entire world. Ghost Orchid. This weird-looking plant resembles the shape of tiny ghosts hanging on its bushes. Like other orchids, this kind of orchid doesn't have any leaves and has an apple scent. It is one of the rarest of orchid species found in the world and has pale blossoms and thin stems. It is remote areas of Florida and Cuba. Morphophallus Titanum, Titan Arum. This strange-looking plant is only found in the botanical garden of the area, known as Rose Hills of Huntington. This moody plant only blooms occasionally and it looks like a flower with a red outing with an inner beige color wick. This is one of the rarest and beautiful plants in the world. Penintia baileysiana. Scoring a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. Penintia baileysiana is again an extinct plant of the world, which is rare to find means you can't find it easily. This controversial plant has so many gender crises, some scientists tried to prove whether it's a female genesis or a male one. This plant has a slow aging process, means it takes almost 10 full years to get fully mature. Welwitschia. One of the longest living plants, also known as the living fossil plant, is again one of the rarest plant species found in Africa. This weird-looking plant has a woody, thick, short and stout trunk. This plant has a very slow growth rate and is believed to live for 1,000 to 2,000 years on Earth. Nepenthes tenax. One of the weirdest looking plants is the Nepenthes tenax, which is considered one of the rare plants in the world. Having quite a few similarities with the pitcher plant, this plant grows up to a height of 100 cms with the pitcher-shaped flower on the top, having a height of 15 cms. This is an extremely rare Australian lowland plant native to northern Queensland. This plant is now a part of the endangered species of the world. Encephalatos woodii. One of the rarest plants in the world is the Encephalatos woodii, which is now conserved and restricted to the botanical garden only, where it was transported from Zululand. This plant is found in South Africa and is considered being extinct in the wild, with all specimens being clones of the type. Its cycad variety had both male and female plants, but long ago there was no specimen of female plants found. That's why there is no propagation and the male plant is now conserved. Rafflesia Arnoldii. Known to be the world's largest flower, this plant is one of the rarest one in the world. Rafflesia Arnoldii, also known as the corpse plant, this name was given to this plant because of its foul odor that is similar to decaying flesh. Unlike other flowers, this plant doesn't have a pleasant smell, and you can find this flower in the dense rainforests of Sumatra, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Bengkulu.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like. Leave a comment on what would you like to see next. And don't forget to subscribe. Animal Facts 101.